Hi, I'm Dr. Satish Kumar, and this is Kaizen Dental. Our aim here is to help dentists succeed. We have already created a video on clinical research after BDS, in which we explain the entire field and how you can start a career in it. In today's video, we are going to have an interview with Dr. Akash, who has done his master's in clinical research and then built a career over it. Doctor Akash completed his bachelor's in dental surgery from Bharati Vidyapeeth, Pune, and then went on to do his master's in clinical research, following which he worked with the Tamil Nadu government and the Indian Council of Medical Research. He is currently working with the Center for Open Data and Research. He is also pursuing his PhD. Hi, Dr. Akash. I thank you for taking out your time and coming and speaking to our audience about how you made the shift from clinical dentistry to non-clinical dentistry. Thanks a lot for coming.
Thank you, Dr. Satish. It was great to actually talk with you and also inspire the upcoming dental graduates in that.
So my first question to you is, you had done your BDS, then you went into
Mm-hmm.
clinical research with CSIR. So how was
Correct.
that shift from clinical dentistry? You were already practicing also, not just in college, but outside,
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
start studying something which is not dental related. How did that feel?
Okay. So when I actually made the shift, it was not planned shift. Like when I was doing my internship, I had got a job in a clinic. So I was very happy doing that. But, I also wanted to do MDS because many of my friends were going that side. So it was an unplanned shift only because I was, not confident enough that I will get a government MDS seat, or also that I don't want to spend huge amount in doing. And luckily, this thing came because I was searching with one of my seniors who were also who was doing MPH from TIS actually that time. So he guided me saying, bro, you are much better in technology. So you go towards clinical research. It's much easier for you to. So I agreed. It was like a split up was like a decision, and I tried to look. There were a few in Mumbai also, and then the CSIR was a central one. So they were offering some 50% scholarship, and that's where I applied. I was not sure I will get or not. So once I applied, I got in. Initial, it was too overwhelming because it's entirely a different uh, what we call it branch or entirely different spectrum that you will study. Dentistry was more clinic based. It had interaction with patients. You have to treat. You have to diagnose, give medications. So there was a complete what was circle of dentistry. But here it's morely you work on basically one section of the diagnosis, or you work on say finding a risk factor associated for certain condition. So the toughest subject I got was statistics because I had no clue about that, and it took me at least I don't know 2 semesters to get a hang of it. But now I realize that if I had not done it properly, I would have not succeeded in clinical research or public health because that is the basis of research everywhere. But eventually, as you transfer from first sem to second sem, the course flow or how your teachers guide it, it becomes easy by the end of first sem that you get accustomed to new type of teaching. And being master student, it is also that you are given more responsibility. You have to study on your own, like the self study in that part. So many students who want to shift to MPH or who want to shift to clinical research, they should be ready to actually manage two things. That is, get accustomed to technology. Like you will use softwares, you will use new types of devices or many things. You will read papers. So that is where new skills will be developed. And you will lose your clinical skills because you will not be in touch with patients. So
Understood.
it would be, yeah.
So was CSIR the only university you applied to, or there were other universities as well?
I had also applied to ICAR. It is, I think, sorry, ICRI. It is based in Mumbai, but it is not. It was not UGC recognized at that time when I applied. Now they have got some UGC recommendations. And other than that, I had also applied for IIPH Hyderabad under Health Informatics. I chose clinical research because it came very early the response. So And this IIPH Gandhinagar, Hyderabad was not that responsive in terms of admission procedure. They're not able to tell properly what is the provisions, hostel, and all that.
Okay, so you took the first opportunity you got, basically.
Correct. Yeah.
Understood.
At that time, actually, I was in a, it was, that was not a planned decision to move from dentistry to clinical research for me. It was only that I want to start something before, there's a huge gap between my internship and next thing. So that
Understood.
was one of my thoughts.
Okay. So now after you finished your master's in clinical research, you started working with IKP. Then you got into ICMR as a researcher and a scientist. So how was the entire experience working there? How was your job profile?
To start with, like my first job was with IKP. It's basically a non-for-profit, which is based in Tanjavur, Tamil Nadu. So it's entirely different spectrum, new language, new people. The good thing is that people in research are at least accommodative. Like they don't, discriminate that, oh, he's from Maharashtra, so we'll not help him. So that is good thing that I found. Maybe it's my personal experience, but at least that is good with me. And that was basically hardcore field-based job where I had to sit with the field executives. I had to work with them, collect data, get it back, clean it, analyze it. So it was a small organization at that time. So they were also having a staff limit. So that's why I was posted as a research associate, and I was handling around 4 districts in Tamil Nadu. And it's a huge, as a first person who had zero experience in public health, that much responsibility was overwhelming for me. And I had made mistakes. It's not that I was not making mistakes. I had made mistakes. I learned from them. Many times I was also called over by the CEO saying, "What are you doing?" and that. But eventually you learn and you get better. But the experience with ICMR was entirely different because ICMR is a big organization. It's it has excess of people sitting there, and so in that way, the burden of work was less. But then you have to focus on quality of work because the target for IKP was state government or central government or maybe universities which are in outside India somewhere. But ICMR is a national level, apex body in research. So for them, it was like if you do any work, it will be showcased entirely as a work of ICMR, and we will go outside, we go to WHO, we will go to say some BMJ or Lancet. So that's where you have to work on if I remember, we had to develop one data collection form that is it was 7 pages. Usually, if I had an IKP, it could take me maybe 1 week or 2 weeks to develop, get it approved. ICMR, it took me 6 months to do it because it had to go through series of discussion. There were meetings arranged, there were many things arranged. So that was different when you shifted from say a non-for-profit which is working. It's like startup and it's a corporation. That kind of structure. But research-wise, I think there was not much difference. It's all focused on people. And my work is mostly concentrated in NCDs, non-communicable diseases. I work in CVD, that is cardiovascular diseases, with focus on heart failure, hypertension, stroke. So it was population-based studies where we try to collect prevalence. We try to understand what is the burden, how many people have good prognosis of when they come to hospital. So that way there was continuum, at least in my career. But what happens with many of my colleagues, that they started with RMNC, that is the reproductive health. But because they got a better opportunity somewhere in, say, child health, or they got someone in family planning, they only work on a spectrum of the entire RMNC. So that way, there is also a chance that what you started, you might not end today. So that is a part of public health or research in India, that jobs vary. And the another spectrum also is that the jobs are not permanent. Many times you work on 2-year project, 3-year project, or maybe if you are lucky, or if the organization you are joined is highly focused on certain area, then you will get a 5-year or a 10-year tenure in that. But I have not seen many people working like as a dentist. We work with that. If we work in a college, as if you're an assistant professor or lecturer, you have a guarantee that you will work as long as you're okay with everything going on. So it's a life scale approach. But in public health, it's usually you have to be shifting, moving as things go, turn, move, or projects in funding is stopped. So, and the biggest impact was in public health and clinical research was about the new FCRA rules that government got, because they actually hindered the funding of many organizations which are somehow getting funds from outside India, and they're somehow linked to the religious organizations. Like there is Catholic Association of India, which actually has not got much funds because of the new FCRA rules. So they have some issues coming in. But that is industry. Even CDSCO, the apex body in drugs, they had tried to impose new rules. They're not imposed, but they had made a new curriculum for clinical trials. So those all regulatory parts are quite changing, at least because the industry is now in an evolving stage. While dentistry as such is much more stabilized. Like we don't see IDA issuing new rules every month or every year. So that way there is a difference, and that has to be adapted, or else we will remain behind, and then it becomes a issue to move forward because everyone is connected in research. Everyone knows everyone.
So you have to keep adapting. So if you get into clinical research, the first thing is you have to be ready. Based on your first answer, you have to be ready to shift your mindset. It is completely different from dentistry. The second thing is they need to keep growing. You just cannot see, it's not the same treatments, the same procedures day in, day out. You have to keep evolving.
Correct.
And the third aspect is you might not be working on the same topic. The topics might keep varying as you keep shifting jobs from one tenure to another tenure.
Yes.
Right?
And so, it's not in our hand also that we might get the same job. So that we're prepared for that. New skills, new knowledge.
Understood. So continuous development is something you need to work on if you get into clinical research.
Correct.
So now you're working with CODR. So what is your job profile out there?
In CODR, I play a dual role. I play something called as a health lead. So entire health portfolio is managed by me. And I'm also a public health specialist. That is where I give inputs to other teams for working on health. So what happened? The second role came because of the COVID. So CODR is basically an analytics, what we call as organization, where we use data to derive at evidence-based recommendations for government. And our key, what we call as clientele is usually state governments, because the organization I work, the umbrella organization is called as Public Affairs Center, which has CODR as a sister branch. Public Affairs Center particularly works closely with government to bring changes. So their formula is that we will make recommendations, we'll sit with government, we'll tell them how to implement it, and we'll also see that it is adequately implemented to see the change. So that's why if I'm giving some output or I'm giving some data output, it has to be closely linked to the ground reality. So when the COVID started, I think everyone was confused, like what is the nature of this? How many people will get infected? Vaccine is now the next thing. But that was the initial concern. Government was getting out new rules like, red zone, green zone, yellow zone. So, and it was keep changing. People used to put banners and all. So it was very difficult for government to even themselves keep up with the rules that they are bringing in. And there was not a coordination between themselves. So CODR played a crucial role, at least in Karnataka, where I and my team used to give them predictions for every 15 days, saying, okay, this might be your new high of cases in next 15 days. And the geography where you have to focus is say A, B, C, D districts, because, and there were events like, that Tablighi Jamaat, when they were trying to, shift here and there, or there were some, when Karnataka government tried to open in between themselves the lockdown and between the districts, and it actually led to a spike in cases. And we predicted, we gave them the output. It's up to them. But yeah, we had got a call from CM asking, are your predictions correct? That last time we saw you're correct, but now you're giving me too high numbers. But we got around 87% around that number. So that is where I specifically had to apply my domain knowledge, also my analytical knowledge there, because, we don't usually play with numbers. It's the engineers who play with numbers, and they don't understand health. So they will give a random number. It's up to us how we interpret that number, or else it becomes difficult for the client to understand. So that is what COVID has done, and that's why I was inclined to go towards health informatics as my PhD also. So that is where the link is coming. Why I went to I shifted from clinical research to health informatics, because the skills that are required for public health are big. It's like a list of events, but health informatics is much more where the things culminate into using data. you know analytics, you know health. The only thing that you have to do is to get make a sense out of all these three aspects, and that should be what the health informatics people call it as a, that should be sensible and it should be smart, that people should act upon it.
Understood. So my next point is you made the shift from dentistry towards clinical research, towards health informatics with your job profile currently as well as your PhD.
Mm-hmm.
So for a young dentist, what do you suggest? To keep the same pattern of flow you have taken, do clinical research and then get into health informatics, or get into health informatics directly, or clinical research?
Mm-hmm.
How should they take a call? Which suits them?
Okay. I think this is a very crucial question because you will get courses, that master's courses on public health, clinical research, health informatics. There are specialized master's course also on digital epidemiology, this new thing evolving now. So, and IIHMR Bangalore is also bringing something called health and IT. That's again a master's course.
Yes.
But we have to basically remember, when you are making a shift, public health or MPH, that is the basic, what we call as the baseline of everything that they're evolving. Let's say your clinical research or your health IT or anything. It's all based on one single platform, that is public health. So if any dentist who aspires to be a public health professional or anything, first thing is complete a MPH, because that is your baseline. It introduces you to the field. Okay. It's it's not a basic course, but it's also a course which is introductory in nature at first semester. And then as you go forward, it will bring you to the realities. And once you are, I don't know, and maybe fourth semester or something, and you work on a thesis topic, and then you will be well equipped, or you will be at a stage where you can make an informed decision. Okay, do I want to go for PhD or do I want to work? I specifically went to work first because I knew that if I started for PhD at this point, it would not be much help for me either in doing PhD, because I have to again spend 3 years without earning a single rupee. And then that's the burden that I didn't want, because I had been earning something when I was at internship. And then after 2 years, I'm earning zero. It was not for myself, or not feeling, I was not feeling good. So then that I think was a good step for me also, because I learned many things that now I can bring to PhD. So I would suggest do MPH and then start working at least for 1 or 2 years. You will get a broad idea what are the jobs, how are people, what you can expect. Okay, because we go with a very unrealistic and over ambitious expectations from bachelor's to master's. So that will bring you down to a level where you will understand what I can do, and then maybe you spend 2 years or 3 years, and then you can shift. That will also help you in getting better PhD, because PhD also counts what is the work experience. And if you don't want, you can also do another master, because it's a 2 years or 1 year's course. So it's only part of and most of them are online. So you don't have to leave your job and do it. You can do it sitting at your home or your office. And many people I have seen are doing the same way, that they do MPH and then they do a 1 year. I am against 1 year certificate courses because they have very less value in market, because it's you cannot show much. But if you're doing it from good university, like you say, John Hopkins or from LHSTM, or then it makes it's a worthwhile investment. But if you're doing from small universities in India, then I prefer them going to a 2 years master's course. Never go for a 1 year. That is my clear recommendation. That is because when I was interviewing student, I don't feel that the 1 year course students were quite capable of doing the work that the master's student is doing. So
understood. Basically, in masters they teach more in depth, so your understanding of the entire system improves. So preferably do a 1 year course rather than a 1 year short term course. Sorry, or 2 year course rather than a 1 year short term course. Yes, correct. That's your first suggestion. And second suggestion you told is it is better to start with MPH, understand all your options, and then decide whether you want to get into health IT, clinical research, or health informatics, rather than just jumping into it. Understood.
Yeah.
Now you had spoken about job. One important question we keep getting asked: if I make this jump, what about the financial aspect? Are there jobs? Is there money and everything?
Yeah, I guess this when I face the same situation. Like if I am jumping, what will I earn? Okay, and if you ask the college placement guy, he will say, yeah, you will earn 40K per month, you'll earn 30K per month. But it's very subjective. I have seen, and it also if you compare with the student which is dental graduate, a BDS student who is trying to work, and say a MPH graduate, but that is not a proper comparison because you have a master's degree in that. So maybe a MDS graduate and a dentist, if a MPH graduate, you see that money coming from dentistry is quite good, okay, but it will take time to achieve that curve because earlier you struggle, you make connections, you work with clinics, you join and all those parts. So it's a slow process for dentistry, but you will reach maybe down the line, say 10 years, you will earn much more in dentistry than in public health. Okay, that's what I have seen. But other thing is, you in public health you will have a steady income coming in since the day one. Like once you join, maybe now the industry standard for a say research associate is around 40 to say around 50K. That is what industry pays for a fresher now. There are many exceptions that someone will get 25, 30K, but that's like, average it out.
Understood.
It takes around 5 years of experience to start earning around 1 lakh per month. It's a CTC, not the in hand. Okay. So it will take you that.
Cost to company.
So correct. And then after that, there's a plateau phase because you might not shift from there to maybe you will get 1.5 lakhs till 10 years. And then it's all together how you do work and you also do some consultancy or you do because you are now field. So money wise, the good thing from public health is that, okay, you will get a steady income because it's a job type thing. There are also entrepreneurship opportunities here. Like you can start your own not-for-profit, you can start your own consultancy, and you have many skills that can be freelance. Many people are freelancing on medical writing. So if you say as one source of income, clinic or MPH, I think clinic will yield better in long term. MPH is a steady flow. So if the student or someone has a good family backup that he can sustain himself for 2 or 3 years, then clinic setup is much better for him because he will be stable by the time down the line 5 years and he will start earning money. MPH on the other hand will give you the money in hand, very upfront money. It's like gratitude that you get with money. So that will teach you many things actually. That is what I have said, like how to spend properly and how to manage it. So that way, I guess it's money wise, it's a decision that a person has to make on how he sees, his income down the line 5 years or 10 years. On many decisions are also made on how much your family can afford to, offload when you're in a phase of, learning phase. So that should be there, but don't keep high expectation that, okay, once you join complete MPH, someone will come with, 80,000 salary. That will not happen because there are too many, and the not worry per se, but what pattern is that around 50% MPH graduates are BDS in India. So that's a huge number. If you look, when I interview for a research associate, if there are 10 applicants, 7 of them are dental graduates. So it seems that people are interested in MPH, but they also keep, like when I ask them, okay, what are you expecting? They will say 40K sir, 50K sir in hand. I'm like, okay, bro, it's okay. You talk with HR, but I will tell you, he will not give that much. Okay. But yeah, that is how, you have been, the college will get you into enrolling the course because you will get placements. But the good thing is that MPH will give you a job. Okay. I have seen for 5 years, most colleges have at least 90% of placement chance. If you apply, MPH, you complete, you'll get a job. That's not a question.
Basically, but you have to get a good college, right? Is it in all universities or only in specific good universities?
Yeah, I guess there are around 20 well-recognized universities for MPH in India. So they are the good ones. But if you try to get it from some small time, because there are also someone who just choose on that. So that is also like same, that if you are doing from a well-recognized college, but admission is not, the cutoff for MPH is not that high that will not be able to get admission in good college. And because of COVID, there are more job opportunities opening also. The state governments across India are hiring epidemiologists as a grade B position, which is temporary at this point, but at least it's a government job which has a much lesser workload. And they pay around, I guess the salary band is 35,000 to 45,000 in hand. And there are remaining benefits you get. So that is one good thing that is happening for a public health at this point. And we should thank COVID that it has actually brought us back. The funding is again good because of the COVID. So if you look at 20 years, what they call as boundary drop cycle in any field, public health is now at the peak. At 10 years, it's completed where you get maximum money from the field, and then to start declining. So down the line 5 years, it's very crucial that people keep realistic expectations from MPH or anything. But as you grow, you will also be able to get properly. But yeah, that is what I can tell about money factor, that it's variable, but it's also on the other hand a fixed income that you can accept from that. So don't have to worry about other things like managing clinic or that part.
Understood. So what is your advice to a young dentist who's trying to take your route, who's trying to get into MPH? You've given a lot of advice, but one more.
Yeah. So the first advice, I think, don't follow my route, because I had done it in trial and error basis. Okay. And
you were lucky.
The best thing to do, I guess, yeah, I was lucky, or I was a time where everything was falling in the right place. But my suggestion is first do a MPH, because if you are interested in research, not because you don't want to practice dentistry, okay, because research takes a toll on your life. Okay, it is not a simple job. It requires a lot of learning. It requires continuous updation. So if you really want to go in public health, you have to be ready on to. You will be posted in rural areas mostly. You have to work on field. You have to know the maths, because that is where many dentists came to dentistry because they were afraid of maths, and it will come back haunting in public health and research. That is one thing. But good thing is it's not only part of your job. There are many other things. So you have to develop your analytic skills when you are in your MPH, and that is only done if you have good professors with you. So be very cautious when you are choosing your university for MPH. There are good ones, like this is the best in Maharashtra. In Karnataka, there are many. In Bangalore, we have many of them offering, but some of them are ranked, some of them are not ranked. So make sure I think Manipal offers a wide range of courses. Third thing is that finish your MPH, then maybe in last sem you have to make a decision. You want to go for PhD or you want to stay with the job. PhD is essential because it gives you the additional, what we call as it opens additional door of teaching at a college, because that is another spectrum where you get a very steady, it's a best background for any researcher that you're working for in the city. So you get students who can teach, and also you can propagate your knowledge through them. So whatever changes they make in health can come back to you attributed. This guy has helped them. So that is one. So PhD, many people think is important in MPH. So make sure that you make a decision what you want. And please don't leave when you start MPH. Don't stop and then again go back, because that causes a lot of chaos. And you are neither in one, or like you're neither a researcher nor a dentist. And another thing is oral health, or what they call as the dental health, is very neglected issue in terms of public health, because the only major research that has been done is regarding oral cancer. Other areas are not explored. So that is where you can also try to focus on, if you really want to link dentistry with your public health career. But be cautious around that. You don't, because many professors will not agree, because it's not your area. Don't worry about that. Someone will do a research on that. So, and if you wish to do community dentistry MDS and then come to public health, that is what you can call a riskier choice, because the industry will not see you as public health expert. Industry will see you as just a
community dentist,
community dentistry or a dentist only. So don't fall on that, because I had many colleagues working in ICMR who were public health, what you call it, community medicine MDS, and still working as a research assistant only because they were not qualified as a public health researcher. So that is a risky proposition unless you have additional qualification. So you will waste some time in your life, 3 years plus 2 years if you want to take the, it's like a curvature route to climb the mountain. So that is one thing. And now industry itself, like public health, is going towards data. Everyone is talking about big data. So that's a new buzzword that has been, because what I think the government calls it revolution 4.0. So everything is shifting towards data analytics. So analytics is a key in research. And if you find it difficult, I think either learn it again till you get mature in it, or else you will not survive the new wave that is coming. Dentistry will also might see this, 4.0 revolution, but it will be not as, as cruel as what is in the public health care, because we still work with HMIs. We still, EMR is there. We work with our digital software, but that's only application. We don't develop them. So basically, be open. Don't worry about much of it. Plan for 2 years ahead maximum or 3 years ahead. Sometimes it's okay to go with flow. There is nothing wrong. Okay, at least I have seen that when I was clueless, I just went with the flow. I got to the right place. At least maybe not like I had planned to do PhD with a university in Poland, and I had come to last point, but it didn't go ahead. So then I stopped doing my PhD applications only. And then one day I got opportunity directly came in front of me. So it's okay if there are few setbacks in a career. So don't worry about if you're not able to get, because life is highly unpredictable. What I have seen might not be experience of many of the new MPH graduates, because they completed their graduation during the COVID time. So the lockdown impacted their thesis. So there are difficulties, but always the proper or standard route is that BDS, MPH, then go for PhD, and then you can specialize, or you can go for another second master's. That's also acceptable. But clinical research, if you want to go as a master's, not an issue, but try to work in industry rather than research, because industry pays much higher. Like you will get starting package of around 35K, but as you mature, you will be earning much more than I am earning now. So that way, industry, but also industry has a higher regulation chances, so jobs are much more, you say volatile here. Like you might be fired so that all happens. But yeah, and then there's third option which many are exploring, that is the management. So that is where also I have seen many dental graduates going on, like health management is also a new thing. So focus what is your key. Are you good in analytics? Go for public. If you're good in say managing people, go for health management. And if you are good in research and analytics, the best thing is go for clinical research. But it's all a part of bigger ideas other than BDS. Whatever you can do, these are three key options. Do a master's, then think about PhD, and how you want to what you can navigate in your career. Take your time. Okay, don't make haphazard decisions when you're completing your thesis or when you're just getting a new job. Get a job, sit for some time, 6 months and that.
Basically, the dentists need to decide whether MHA is better for them or MPH is better for them based on their skill set. It could be whether they like analytical part, they like the management part. They should plan. Once they get into it, they should be ready for things to keep changing continuously. So they have to be a quick learner. They can't just say that I did a master's degree and I'm done with it. So these are the main takeaways, I guess. Thanks a lot, Dr. Akash, for taking your time and coming here and sharing your knowledge with our students. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a great experience.
Thank you.